This is his sixth studio album we're here to talk about. Not Everyone Can Go. Please welcome up here Braxton Cook.
How y'all doing? Hello.
Hi. It is so good to see you. I have to say that, first of all. I can't believe it's been 5 years
It's been a minute, yeah.
since we sat down and had a conversation. So it's so good to see you. And I know I'm super late, but as a LA native, I have to say welcome to LA.
Oh, thank
5
you.
years later.
Thank you. Yeah.
So glad to have you. I want to start out by thanking you for this album. It's one of the best things that I heard. Came out August 29th, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
On Network.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Congratulations. Let's give it up for him
Thank
and
you
his
so much.
album.
Thank you.
I know this album talks about a lot of things, and I read a great quote today by an author named Teresa Salaki. Also, I just want to say, in my own housekeeping, I'm squarely Gen X, and so I have notes and a pencil and a pen, because
Good.
that's what we do.
Good.
This great quote says, "Light precedes every transition, whether at the end of a tunnel, through the crack in the door, or the flash of an idea. It is always there, heralding a new beginning." This album is about, amongst a lot of things, transitions. So I want to ask you about what's happened in the 5 years since you and I met and talked about an album that changed your life.
Well, wow. That's a beautiful quote, firstly. Now, this album, it documented just this huge transition in my life, right? That podcast, I might have been in New York when we first did it. I've moved from, I want to say, Newark, New Jersey to Los Angeles in the midst of the pandemic, double masked up with my wife on the plane, recently married at that time, right? I think we got married in September 2019. So got married, had my first boy in August of 2021. And then now our second boy, Quincy, top of this year. Bought a house and a lot of our life is just changed, in a really beautiful way. But with that, just comes, as a musician, like the balance. A lot of my music is very much about, this trying to balance this artistry and being pulled in all these different ways as a musician, but then also trying to just like be a stable family man. And sometimes those things, can feel incongruent. And I think a lot of what this album in particular, was about making that work, and that kind of involved a lot of just pruning, a lot of letting go, relationships, things that just didn't make sense, habits that maybe don't make sense anymore. It could be staying up all night, being on your phone. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, you're going to pay for that tomorrow because I'm up at 5:30 with August and Quincy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, there are things that like, okay, I just can't do this anymore. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't work for me. Trying to hang out with, be in spaces that no longer serve me. I just we go to this amazing church at FCBC. Shouts to Pastor Mike. I don't know if y'all are familiar with First Corinthians Baptist Church, but we started going there on 116th in Harlem, and they now have a satellite church where they at Miracle Theater like 2 times a month. And the pastor was just speaking to this point of no longer forcing, like there's no need to be in spaces where you're not wanted, and that's okay, right? And there was a point at which I think I fought that. Trying, almost people pleasing, trying to make things work that just didn't make sense for me anymore. And a lot of what I had to go through, and, my wife is really good at this. She's very discerning, as a lot of incredible, intelligent black women are. Or she's just like, look, that man's not your friend. This person, you know what I mean? And she'd be 100% right, or this maybe doesn't work, And there were a lot of times where I had to sit and reflect on that, and as soon as I started either, letting some of these relationships go or some people just walking out on me, things just started to open up and sit in a space where I felt like things felt more aligned and more, balanced, where I wasn't forcing things to happen. It was just like, this is the way it's supposed to be. So in that, yeah, in the past few years, I've been experiencing that kind of change and just learning to accept it and quite like actually enjoy it, like telling people no. You know what I mean?
I do know
Like
what you mean,
that, that's not gonna work. You know what I mean?
for sure.
And that's been a freeing thing. And this album is very much about stepping into that space.
What is it like to be lighter? Because not everyone can go.
Mm-hmm.
Assumes that you leave some things behind or some people behind. So
100%.
what is it like to be in this space as an artist and be lighter?
It's everything. I mean, it's clarity really. It's like what it's really is. It's like been a laser focus that that's really made everything so much easier for me and less stressful. This is like all in the past few months really, where like I'm like, okay, I'm starting to really see really essentially just having to like make my priorities super super clear, and it's been family first always. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And then making music fit within that. And that's been so much better than the other way around, where I'm saying, yes, I'll do this tour. Yes, I'll go to Asia. Yes, I'll do this. And even last year, I felt like I filled up my schedule to a point where I hit a wall. I did 2 European tours. It was great, sold out, it was awesome, cool. The U.S. run opened for Jeff Burnett in the summer. Another U.S. run with my own group in October, I want to say, right after I got back from Asia. We did a whole September tour in Asia. Then October, a U.S. run. Then right after that, taped our Tiny Desk on Halloween. Then I was like, all right, I have 2 off days. Go see my dad in D.C., hang out for a second. Dad, I got to fly to Europe November 3rd, all the way up till Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? Just burnt myself out.
I was going to ask you about touring because non-artists, non-musicians, we always sort of romanticize touring because we have not toured before.
Oh, I can go
So
on and on about touring.
I was about
yeah.
to ask you, tell us
Yeah.
what touring is like, the good, the bad.
It's where it started. It was all fun. It was like it was all like good things. Like I want to say, 2015, 2016, I was just like touring with Christian Scott at the time. I just graduated, and I could say yes to a lot of things. And there was a period where I was like, okay, this is awesome, it's perfect. And then my relationship starts getting more and more serious, and Shay's like, look, man, you know what's going on. Like, I want to say 2016, 17, I wanted to start doing my own music. And then that transition from being a sideman, which I would say feels more like, actually having a job, a bit in music, where I'm like, okay, I have these dates, and the agent hits me, and I like, here's like fills up your calendar kind of. And then that transition of stepping from sideman to doing your own thing, now it's like, all right, I'm transitioning a bit more into like an entrepreneurial space where I've got to start investing in my own shows and doing this, right? And that transition was difficult, but one in which where I realized if I could start doing that, then I'd have more autonomy over my schedule, right? So then touring became like less of just like showing up and playing the saxophone, and more of like a business thing, and planning, and investing, and a lot more overhead,
Sure.
right? and then I want to say after a few years of doing that, between 2017 2019, and 2019 being in a really incredible peak where we played Montreux Jazz Fest in North Sea, and flew Shea out, and we went to like Europe, and her mom came, and we're just like talking with Quincy Jones backstage, you know what I'm saying, in Montreux. Like, that was incredible, amazing experiences. But I want to say by that point, I started to realize like there's a dependency too, like where like people are like, well, what's going on next year, Brax? Like, you know what I mean? And then you start to realize, okay, I'm creating a bit of a small business, but jobs and opportunity for other people, and then you feel a pressure to kind of just keep this hamster wheel going, and saying yes again, like let's do it, let's do another tour, just kind of fill the calendar. And I think it's been every couple of years having to just reassess and reevaluate essentially, like, is this working for me? How do I do this better? How does this make more sense, not only financially, monetarily, but like, how does this work for my family? So having conversations with my agent, like, can we just do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off?
Sure.
Let's not do 6 weeks, all together. Can we
How
do that?
has fatherhood made it a little bit more difficult to tour in terms of not wanting to be away as much, or?
Yeah, it's made it easier. Like I said, like when I build these tours around my familial commitments, then it's like it's way easier, you know? And then I end up doing maybe less shows, but just more impactful ones. Being able to focus a bit on it, you know, focus on like maybe a Blue Note residency a little bit more, maybe the promotion leading up to it, you know, not having so many shows back to back to back
Sure.
where I'm just, you know, burning myself out. It's actually quite nice to have it spread out where it's like, it's easier for me. It's easier for like us to prepare for it and then come off the road and have downtown. But then also way better for like me and my family. So I found like that's been a sweet spot and where, you know, I think historically people say like just more and more dates. I've been actually going the other way with it where it's like, let's do less and spread it out. Um, and that's been great for really everyone involved.
Well, you mentioned the Blue Note residency. I want to talk to you about the Blue Note because I was at one of those shows. Shout out to the Blue Note. Shout out
Oh
to
yeah,
the Blue
yeah,
Note.
mm-hmm.
Sure. Um, and two things about the Blue Note. I want to talk to you a little bit about what that means for West Coast jazz and what's going on here. But I also want to say how deeply moving that show was. Super deeply moving. When you talk about being impactful, I mean, you had us wrapped around your finger, you and your band. And I was with one of my friends who is super stoic. And at some point, I don't know what
Met
number
her.
you were performing. I looked over, I was like, not you tearing up, you know what I mean? And she was just like, so thank you for what you did to us that night. It was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful show.
Really appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you for. I'm grateful that LA's got another like really amazing venue. Um, like back to the pandemic, we lost Blue Whale. I say we like I'm from here, but you know there was somebody really dope. There's somebody really
for
cool
sure.
spot. Pinson can probably speak to this. Who's like a really he's a Jonathan Pinson, by the way, who plays drums in my band's like from Cali. He knows he's just seen so much change in LA. But no, Blue Note is going to be, I think, something special for sure. It takes a minute to become, you know, like the Blue Note in New York. It took 40 years, so eventually it'll get there. But this is a strong start, really good sound, and
No, for sure.
yeah,
For sure. And I think it's drawing a new crowd to jazz, and that's so good for the city. We talked a little bit earlier about what's happening out here and what's happening with jazz, and I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about sort of this attraction to jazz that's happening from a younger generation, a younger audience? You, Kiefer, Kamasi, Bowers, all of the greats,
oh yeah,
Ron
Mike.
Rahul, a lot of them. How do you feel about what's going on here?
A few things. I think with regard to that class of musicians, I think there's a really beautiful renaissance that's happening in jazz and what like you know in Black American music. What I'm seeing though are like different like pockets almost. You know, I want to say like our class, so like let's say Kiefer and Butcher Brown and my group. What I'm seeing is like yeah we're finally starting. We're starting to tour. We're starting to like really grow our businesses and actually even be billed together. We just did this amazing festival in Durham. That Cicely Mitchell, who started the Article Festival, now put together called Missy Lane's Block Party, and it's like we kind of have a sound together. We actually all have the same agent as well, which is interesting, but a rival, and that makes sense, you know. So I think that's really cool to see, you know, these worlds being built, you know. But you know, to the first part of your question with like the younger generation, I'm seeing yet another one because now we're hitting that mid-30s, and I'm like, we're not the young guys anymore, which is fine. Like it's a beautiful thing, but I'm seeing now like 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds. There's a 23-year-old in my band. This guy Paul. I kind of love having that energy around because he's just excited to be there, and like, because you'll see after a while, like motherfuckers get jaded. Like man, we playing this same old Braxton Cook song. Like, bro, come on. But like he's like mad excited to play No Doubt and all these songs, and I'm like, oh, I love it. Because yeah, it just makes you feel invigorated about the shit too, you know. But to that point, that generation, like they're finding this music through TikTok, which like I'm barely on there in that way. Like, but like they're, I don't know, like shit's going viral. I guess like they're finding, like I think Samara Joy blew up on TikTok.
Sure.
Forgive me if I say her name wrong, because you know I was trying to say this backstage and I jacked it up, but it was a
Faye.
Lafay.
Also blowing up.
Yeah, blowing up on TikTok. So I think people are just they're different entry points to the music. I want to say me keep yeah, me, Kiefer, and Butcher Brown, like we kind of, I want to say we were dropping a lot of music around 2015. So this is like sweet spot, SoundCloud, early streaming era.
Blogs.
Yeah, blog,
Yeah.
exactly, catching like a bit of the blog era, which was, that kind of our generation. But now this next generation, I feel like they're blowing up through social media, um, and I'm seeing people pulling up to shows that just I don't even recognize these. I'm like, how are y'all finding this music? You know what I mean? Like I don't see y'all at jazz clubs, but you're into like how y'all find it's very interesting. I don't know. It's just yeah, we just got these different pockets and different mediums and ways of reaching people now. Um, which is I don't know, it's very fascinating to me. You know, whereas like and then Kamasi and Christian and some of these older musicians that are more established, they came through a system of like the record labels and marketing and promotion in a very kind of conventional way. It just kind of keeps evolving. So I'm finding myself honestly studying some of these younger artists and how they're reaching people and how they're, finding new audiences and what they're into and what it is. And I'm seeing, I don't know, some of it is like the visual component, to these projects and to the music is now just as important as the music, the story, kind of everything around it, you know.
For sure.
And it always has been, but it's even more so, and it needs to like really grab people, uh, and hold people's attention, because there's just so much information now. It's complete content overload. Um, so I'm seeing more and more just people being very creative visually. You know what I mean?
Right.
Through these social platforms, and there's something to glean there. I think for this music and pushing it forward and marketing it and finding new audiences.
I'm so excited about jazz and what jazz is doing when I'm going out to shows and stuff. I'm seeing multi generations of people all enjoying it. So salute to you, Javier Santiago, the things you guys are doing out here.
Oh yeah, shouts to Javi, by the way.
Yeah, for
Javier
sure.
Santiago is incredible. I don't know if Javi's in the room, man, but now Javi plays keys and is an amazing producer and inspires me as well, like to produce a bit, and it's also a burning keyboard player.
Well, thank you for being a part of what's happening now, and I'm just glad you're out here on the Best Coast doing that. This is your sixth studio album. I love the title. It's so wise. I love that about it. I wanted to ask, how does your process and your preparation, how has it differed on this album than, say, Fire Sign, which I love? One of my favorite albums. If you don't have that, please find that and get it. It's one of my favorites.
So are you an Aries?
Aquarius.
Oh, okay, you shouted it out like I was like, is she?
No, I just
Okay,
I'm into astrology.
Got it.
So
Okay,
I wanted to
got
give you
you.
love for that.
Got
but,
it. Got it.
But yeah, how does your preparation for this differ? And I mean everything: writing, recording, and mixing and mastering, and how you selected who you'd collaborate with. What's the difference between that album and this album?
Oh yeah, this by far is the most collaborative album I've ever done. Like, the album I did preceding this one was called "Who Are You When No One Is Watching."
No one's watching.
And I was like a 2023 when it came out, but we recorded some of that 2021, 22. So we were like masked up in the studio, you know what I mean? Like couldn't be in the control room together. There was a different energy that last record. This record that we recorded, I want to say, yeah, we did good. We did Good Morning America, June of 2023, and then that day, of course, we taped super early. So then by like we were all free by 9:30 a.m. or something. So I was like, let's go to the studio. So we go to the studio in New York, called Dimension 70, Lower East Side, and we just record all day. And I had a few sketches. I had Zodiac. I had a few like sketches of ideas and songs. And I was like, all right, man, like let's figure it out. And I kind of leaned on a lot of the musicians in the room to just kind of help shape some of the music, which like I haven't really done. A lot of my previous records, I have sheet music. You know what I mean? Like, no, you play this and you play this, and like this is your part. And then this record was like I have a few sketches of some songs, Harbor Feelings and Zodiac and My Everything. I had demos, but it's like I'm like, yo, we need an outro. How are we gonna end this? You know what I mean? So then we take 1, 2, 3, and then by take 4 we figure it out. Kingdom Come, my King's Interlude. We just made that one up on the spot. We're gonna play a little bit of that one actually later tonight. Yeah, it was just like there was just something in the room. You know what I mean? It was just like we were all happy to be back in one space, just making music. And I think a lot of that energy is captured on the instrumental records on this project. It's just so dope. And then on the vocal songs, a lot of those songs, I want to say almost each one, I'm working with a different producer,
Wow.
which I've never done.
Wow.
Like so since moving to LA, just a little backstory on that. Like one of my best friends, back at Juilliard, this dude Jahan, that's my dog. He's wild, but Jahan, he's just produced so much incredible music, and he's created so many opportunities for us. Where he's got us on, and by us I mean me and Enrique and Ray, just like day ones that go way back to like Juilliard, but. He's essentially put us on like Giveon songs, Kehlani songs. He hooked up this whole Taylor Swift play that was really wild. And then that led to us getting like a kind of Cobalt pub situation where I get to like write songs for a bunch of artists. Just so beautiful. Because I write a lot. Like I have a lot of songs, and not all of them I want to use for myself. I think I even wrote like Harboring Feelings. I think I pitched that to Lucky Day.
Wow.
It's like I love writing songs, and sometimes they're instrumental, sometimes it's a pop tune, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I say all that to say, so when I finally signed to Cobalt, they start setting up these sessions. So I'm meeting all these new producers, and it was also a really cool way to kind of get ingratiated in this scene of like producers and writers, and start just meeting new people. Because I have moved from New York to LA, and I don't know anybody really. I knew like my clique of jazz musicians, and it was like Pinson and Renfro and Crumbly, but a lot of times they're on the road. So like this afforded me not only to create and write music, but also just meet new people. One of my first sessions they set me up with was this guy Phil Simmons, who's like an incredible producer, and that's my dog. I don't know if Phil's here, but that's my bro. And I was just grateful to like connect with like-minded artists and amazing musicians. And I want to say maybe 4 or 5 songs came out of just this like 6-month period of just meeting new people. And sessions are interesting in LA. You pull up, you don't know each other. They're like, oh, so what do you do? You know what I mean? Let's play music. Oh, you're working on some music? Yeah, here's some demos. So then we play music back and forth. You know what I'm saying? You work through like some of the awkwardness or whatever, and then you start making music. And for me, I'm like, yo, I gotta go pick up the kids, so I'm out of here. Like I'm out of here at 4 to beat this traffic. So like, let's get to it. And a lot of the times, I'd have a bunch of these uncompleted songs, but then some of these days I'd have these joints that just, all my life was like that. I met this Kaveh Rastagar, if I'm saying that right, he works in this band Kneebody, but he also lives out here. He's a father. He's a really dope guy, but a prolific writer and producer as well. Plays with Sting, all these incredible musicians. Been writes for Sabrina Claudio, I think. But yeah, we had a session that just boom, song just flew. Bubale and the Imports, another one, just where they happen within an hour or two, kind of thing. And those are always super special. And I think most of those, I want to say all those people I'm still super tight with. Brett, who helped produce I Just Want You, still super tight. You know what I mean? Like we bonded. We were like, we just knew we had like a vibe and like a potential friendship. You know what I'm saying? And then the music just happened. It just flowed, and almost all those records made this album.
How long was the recording process from start to finish, from your sketches to how long would you say it took to put it all together?
June 2023, that summer. Like that was the instrumental session.
Wow. Okay.
Sat with those for a minute, and then all the way up to when did I deliver this record? I want to say I dropped the EP of My Everything November of 2024. So I think I did around there, like fall of 2024, the album was done. So June 2023, fall 2024.
Is that your normal process? Is this about the normal timing, or does it typically take you longer? Or
I try and give myself like a year. I try and get a project or something out a year. And some of that is also this need to have or I should say, I created this, but or maybe promoters, put this in my brain where like I felt like if I'm going on tour next year, I need to have something out. So you'll notice just looking back, I always have like this EP in between the album. So this is 2025, but then like fall 2024 is the My Everything EP, right? And then Who Are You When No One Is Watching is 2023. And then before that, would I drop an EP called Black Mona Lisa? You know what I mean? So it was, I kind of start with a collection of songs that end up being, I want to say, like the, not a thesis statement for like where the whole project is going and what it's going to be. And then I flesh that out into the full project. But I don't hold on to the EP. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, this is dope. Let's put it out. And then we can tour this. And that way I have like something every year that feels like new, feels fresh.
I want to get into some of the particular songs because I want to talk about some things that resonated with me. But I have to ask you this before we get into them. Yeah. Which song asked the most of you emotionally, and which song asked the most of you artistically?
That's a really good question. That was okay. I say, okay, emotionally, sometimes I can't get through My Everything. Now, artistically, oh yeah, like okay. So I would say artistically, the one that's the most probably difficult to just do again is Josh's tune, I think, which is kind of one of my favorites on the record too. It was another one of those just in the moment improv. I called Matisse. So we had two piano players. Mike King played on like half the record, and then he was like, "Oh, I gotta go." And then Matisse came through. Matisse Picard is this prolific, incredible pianist that went to Juilliard with me. And like I said, the whole thing was just very free. So I texted Matisse. I was like, come downtown, come down LES. We're working on some music. And he came through and just started going wild on the synth. So if you listen to the last song on the album, Josh's tune, there's a lot of really cool just synth work that Matisse just made up. And then the melody, we were just, I think it was a 15-minute jam, actually, that I was like, no, it's going to be about like 7 minutes. 6-7 minutes. We'll cut it down and put this part out. But that one artistically, I still don't know quite how to do that one live.
And what about My Everything? Why is that hard?
Woo, that's one of those songs that's well, I mean, a lot of the record deals with the lows, and I wanted to intentionally speak to that because there's so much about my life that's so great, and I know can look so cookie cutter perfect all the time. I get that. They're like, come on, your wife's a professor, you got 2 beautiful kids at a house, blah blah blah. Like, bro, what, And I get that, like, sometimes social media even can, it's a highlight reel to some degree. But I'm an artist, but in a lot of, like, you're not a normal person when you sit in a room practicing this for 12 hours. It's not normal. You know what I mean? Like, what happened to you, man? You know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, like, you're working through these things, and I've always dealt with these just big, high highs and low lows. They've been there since high school. I want to say one of what gravitated me toward the saxophone in the first place was like always like a love for the music, but like what made me want to practice it so much was like this move when we moved from Atlanta to Maryland, and it was this real pivotal time in my life where it felt like a huge foundational thing was just gone. I don't know. A lot of people don't know I even lived in Atlanta, but like for some odd reason, I don't know why, we moved from Maryland to Atlanta, 2000 2004, and that's kind of when I got into jazz and into music. And it was this crazy time in Atlanta where, like, man, musically, it just felt like everything and everyone coming out of Atlanta was just on one. It was like Confessions dropped around then, 8701 dropped around, Usher was on a ride, Bone Crusher, all that. It was like, no, really, it was, and if you lived there, it was crazy. It was like the Falcons were just on a run. The Braves were on a run. No, I was like, yo, Atlanta is booming right now. Prototype, I'll never forget Love Below. That changed my life. That album, I should have said that one on Heat Rocks. That album changed my life. So this period, between 2000 and 2004, I'm like maybe middle school or something. So maybe even hormonally, all this stuff is going on. But like I'm falling in love with music, and then I'm in theater, all these things, and then I moved back to Maryland high school, and I remember just kind of closing up. you know, and that's probably the first time I dealt with that like low, you know, and music like saxophone just like kind of saved me because I just put all that anguish and loss, I guess, you know, and all those emotions into the music and into saxophone, and I was practicing incessantly. I mean, like just it was wild. Um, so I tend to tap into that space, you know, with certain songs, and I wanted on this record again to just be honest about some of those moments, um, and how I work through them. So the way I even like sequenced the album was in a way where I wanted the top half of the record to kind of speak to some of those moments. Harboring Feelings is about like dealing with depression. My Everything is about, you know, seeing the light at the end. I say, we'll get it back. Just wait and see. The future's bright. I can hardly see. And it's about slowly but surely seeing like, you know, I can get to this other side. You know, it's right there. We just, you know, I just gotta, you know, work through it. And that song I think is just, it's a deep one because I come through these cycles where sometimes I revisit that and I just gotta remember like, no, just get through it. And then shortly after that record, I put "We've Come So Far," which to me is a huge tonal shift in the album, and one in which I realized you have to find gratitude every day, every moment, in the little things, and just being here and just breathing and just being okay. Like man, I told you a few weeks ago, just got in this car accident, my first ever. Someone just ran a red light and hit me. And I was just like, and I saw it coming and started turning, and thankfully it just didn't really damage me at all. Car was fucked, but car was fucked, but it's a car. Just got it back today. Actually, it was great. But I thought about that. Like, what if I was like really hurt, man, couldn't play, lost? You know what I mean? I was like, just so grateful for my health, for to be here. You know, to wake up and be here every day, and then on top of that, to have a beautiful wife, to have a beautiful kids. You know what I'm saying? So just having to just remember that and practice gratitude. That's what that song is about. It's a reminder. You know, whenever I'm dealing with some shit like that, like just remember. You know, like lean on that. And I put that in all my records. You know, these are like mission statements and reminders for me, almost like somebody putting sticky notes somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Somewhere in between, no doubt. That's what they are for me at least. It's like remember this about you. You can do it. You know what I mean?
Can I ask you about Kingdom Come? Because that has me. It has me. I can't tell you how many times I played that today.
I love that record.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
What's the emotion behind it? What are we supposed to take away from the song? Like, man, I can't tell you. Like, I literally can't tell you. I'm not good in math anyway. So I can't tell you how many times I played it. But I played it a lot of times today. It just really moves me.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I can't tell you either. Again, it's another one of those, like, the spirit was just moving. I didn't write that tune. So the incredible Mike King, it's Kingdom Come, but Mike King wrote that tune, and he was just jamming on the keys. And then Curtis came in on the drums, and we just went into it. And then me and Renfro, I think we just kind of made that melody up. Or maybe I just heard that voicing in the guitar. I'm not quite sure. But another one of those that it just happened in the studio, and I'm so glad my boy Josh Pleater hit the red button and recorded, and you know what I mean? Like, for real, it was one of those.
It's gorgeous.
Where I was like, I might even say, I'm like, bro, you got that, Josh? Because that happens sometimes where we just get into a vibe, and that was a special one. Yeah,
gorgeous.
Love that record.
Gorgeous.
So yeah, I can't tell you exactly why or how, but that was God right there. So that's also partly why I wanted to like allude to His name, but also to the Most High.
For sure. I want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about Zodiac, because I know it's a nod to Zodiac Suite and Mary Lou Williams. So I want to give you a chance to talk about that, and also talk a little bit about Mary Lou Williams, if you could.
Yeah, sure. So my introduction to Mary Lou actually was in school. It was like at Juilliard. We did the Zodiac Suite. We did a concert actually, big band, and there was a tune called Scorpio that we played. I know.
Shout out to
I love seeing you
Scorpios.
light up, yo. You like, mm-hmm. No, but it's so good. And it's modal. And modal meaning to the non-musicians, you know what I mean? It's like essentially one scale, right? The whole thing, all these melodies and beautiful harmonies are written, but it's like maybe like a melodic minor scale, which is like one of my favorites, but like the whole tune is kind of written off of that, right? We don't jump key centers and all that. And I just loved it. I loved how creative it was. I loved the arrangements. I loved this, like Scorpio in particular, the sneaky kind of melodies and like chromaticisms. And yeah, that had a huge influence on, my writing, I think in general, but also, of course, that tune. And Zodiac, funny enough, I wrote that one in 2020. That one didn't make Fire Sign.
I know.
Which it makes sense that it'd be on that record, but yeah, no, the Fire Sound felt more of an R&B record, and then Zodiac was like, no, it's more of a jazz track, and it felt like it had to go somewhere else.
It's beautiful.
But thank you.
It is beautiful. I'm going to ask you a few more. I hope we have time for a few more. If we were on Heat Rocks, I'd ask you this question because we always ask it on Heat Rocks. Is your album ahead of its time? Is it timeless, or is it right on time? I mean, you can say all three.
It is all three. But wow, what a good question. You might need to copyright that one. That was crazy. No, 100%. When you say like right on time, I totally feel that way. You know, like I keep getting these just synergistic moments, whether I'm at church or just like I keep hearing this idea that everyone can't go and that not everyone, I keep hearing that, I keep feeling that, and I feel like that's something that's saving me. Like again, like learning to say no. It's trying to just having to kind of kill that people pleaser element of my personality that doesn't serve me, and sometimes it can really like hurt you. And not only hurt you, but in a way it can hurt your whole family. You know what I'm saying? Doing some shit that don't make no sense. Like going to do a tour is like I'm not gonna make any money in Europe. Why are you doing this, bro? You know what I mean? And like having to deal with the idea that like these antiquated ideas of success don't make sense anymore because the game is changing, right? And I was like, that was a mind fuck for me because I was in college thinking like, no, this is what you're supposed to do. This is you go on the road, you go to Europe, and you do this, and that's great, and that's cool. But like, I want it to actually make sense, like you know what I'm saying, for real. And that's a way to do it. I found ways of like intertwining master classes because I love to teach, and I've done a residency in Paris, and I'll do a master class in Montreux, and I'll throw it in the tour to make it all like make sense. But you have to make things work for you. You know what I'm saying? And not just look at these old ideas of kind of like how it's supposed to go. Because that's where you end up really screwing yourself. And just saying yeah. Like no. So to that point, I'm like absolutely right on time for me. Saved my life. What were the other two though? Hold up, say one more time.
Timeless or ahead of its time?
Oh yeah. Well, time will tell.
Indeed. Okay, the last one is because I'm a bit of a quote junkie. Pablo Casals says, "Music is the divine way to tell beautiful, poetic things to the heart." So my question is, what should this album tell us about your heart?
Yeah. Therapy session. But I think this record, like it is truly, I think even more than the last, like an even more honest representation of who I am, who I want to be, and where I'm going. But to speak to like, what to say about my heart? That it's, I'm a lover at heart for sure. But I'm learning, where and when to kind of draw the line. And
Sure.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? And like that's been good and it's important. Like even as a father too, it's like these kids will try and run all over you, man. I promise you. You just got to be firm in your boundaries and like where like where things really end and where the line is at, man. And I'm like again, that's just like that's a lesson I'm learning still. But I think this record is very much still speaks to that, and you can be both a lover, but you also just gotta like know when to land now.
Right.
Yeah,
And the
you gotta know.
wisdom of knowing that not everyone can go.
That's it. And
All right.
also, who's coming with me?
Right. And who's
Yeah, like,
not,
who's really on your team? Like actually, that
for
part
sure.
too. You know, because it is twofold. Because that's part of the gratitude part. There's sometimes there are angels you don't even realize that are in your life, constantly trying to help you, trying to help you, trying to wake you. You know what I'm saying? And you know that's part of it as well. It's like, yeah, who's not coming, but also who's with me, and really, you know, acknowledging and accepting and being grateful for those people too.
Well, my day job is I'm a music supervisor, and I've been doing it for a long time. I know a composer when I see one. So if you're not scoring, start scoring, because
I
you write and you sing like a composer. So in the way of encouragement,
thank you.
start scoring.
All right. Anybody writing a film or something? Let me know. Yeah.
This is Braxton Cook, everybody. The new album is Not Everybody Can Go. All right, we're gonna have some performances. You're gonna perform some songs from the album first. Oh, we have Q&A, right? First, do we have time for Q&A? Okay. Any questions for Braxton? Raise your hand and we will. Hi.
Sorry about that. I know. I know. Another time. Kingdom Come though. We'll do that one. That's her jam.
Questions, more questions.
What's up?
Hi, in the back. Yeah. Hi. Did you have your hand up? Yeah, please.
What up, man? Oh man. What's up? By the way, hold up. Sorry, my bad. My bad. Y'all, that's Cedric Hudson, y'all, who helped create this beautiful, beautiful album cover. Creative director for the project. Visually, my dog.
So my question for you is, I think obviously I know you for some time now,
Mm.
and I think I was obviously very impressed to kind of see some of this black art with the black person in it. And I'm curious, what do you think was the kind of biggest catalyst for the creative process for this album compared to all the other albums?
Yeah, I want to say that I'm always writing, you know. So like, there's a point in which I'm like, I'm just kind of writing and making songs. But I think there's a point in which I realize like I have an album or I have something to say. But the catalyst was, if I could just be frank, because I can't help myself. I just you know, it was it was a relationship that went super sour. You know, I want to say top of 2024, right before our Europe run. Someone that just yeah, almost unforgivable, bro. And then it was like the domino effect of someone that just he didn't show or canceled a tour like last minute, super disrespectful. Then we have like a conversation and it just like dealing with egos, man. Like that's another part of this. Like as you get older, you know, you playing with people that like felt like your brothers, feel like you're, you know, that we came up out of school together, but sometimes, you know, things change and people have different, you know, intentions and different goals and you just start to see people's true character. And it was one of those moments where I was like, you know, cool, we're done. You know what I'm saying? And that, interestingly enough, was like kind of a domino effect. It was like just one, then a bass player, bro, started tripping. It was like another person after another person, man, that just started to reveal themselves to me in a way where I was like, this, you know, no, you know, like no, we're not only not working together, but like I thank you for showing me like who you are, and thank you for like also forcing me and forcing my hand to be a little bit more vocal about like when shit is not cool. You can't be missing flights to Hong Kong, man. And like no, no, you can't do that. Um, and like yeah, and I know I'm like I have a temperament where it's like it'll be cool, it's fine. Oh, he's just funny. Oh no, he's just the wild one. But no, you know what I mean. So that was like there was a lot of just personal things happen. I think in real life that actually made me start to kind of feel this way, and started to kind of shape the record. You know. where I was like, no, that's what this song is about. You know what I'm saying? Or like that's you know. Um, so yeah, thank you for that question because I don't know if I actually said it. Mm-hmm.
We got time for one more. Hi.
What's up, bro?
I feel like certain lessons can't come along until certain people come along, right? Like
Mm.
when it comes to like just certain things that unlock like through individuals. So big and bad now. I'm curious like what changed that unlocked for you when it comes to like writing and just like everything. How has that expanded like the talent for you of where you can go?
Man, I think man, like when I had August, I think having my first boy definitely made me feel. Um, at first, it made me feel like, oh, there's not enough time, you know. But I think once we had Quincy, like two boys, I was like, you just kind of embrace like really where you at, you know what I'm saying, and what time you have, you know, in a way, you know what I'm saying, like, it's no more like thinking about the old life, if that makes sense, you know. It's like, whoa, we're all right, we're here. Like, no, like you gotta do this Zoom with Quincy in your lab, and you gotta do, you know what I'm saying, and you just get locked in at this multitasking kind of, you know what I'm saying, mindset of where you just have to get certain things done, and then you start taking them less seriously in a way. Does that make sense? Like a little less pressure. I'm not talking about like I don't want to perform well, but I'm talking like not overthinking, not micromanaging, not stressing about certain things that I used to trip about. You know, and that's an ongoing process, but like I'm grateful for that, and I think the record is an embodiment of that. Like I said, I've never improvised like this many songs and like not written the sheet music and told you what part to play. You know, I've never done that really. So really, it embodies that. I'm like, I have to let go. You know, I'm not gonna tell you what to play, bro. I trust you. You're great. You know, and it's gonna sound good. You know. So
Braxton Cook, everybody.
thank you, guys, for real. Appreciate you all coming out. Thank you.
So we're gonna have you play some things for us. Yeah. All right.